dyed-in-the-wool liberals at this point. They burn their bridges with the right, becoming more than useful idiots to the left. And liberals never actually took this bunch seriously. They had to have known that. And now they're just flat out ignoring them. So finally, something on which we can all agree. Joining me now is Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, author of The MAGA Doctrine. Also with me, Lisa Boothe, Fox News contributor. All right, Lisa, what made these folks ever think that they had any say in whom the Democrat loyalists ultimately go for in the end in these primaries?
Well, and we know Democrats are just using these never-Trumpers to serve their purpose. And the second they say things they don't want to hear, they will be pushed out, mocked, and pushed aside. But they're all wrong. Bernie Sanders is the toughest candidate for President Trump to face in the general election. He will be the Democratic nominee. He is the only person that has a path to the majority right now, or at least a plurality heading into the convention. And you can see how Bernie Sanders has a similar populist message to President Trump. He's got that message, I think, that could appeal to the forgotten men and women that President Trump was able to appeal to, especially against an establishment candidate like Hillary Clinton, who is so out of touch with the average American. Bernie Sanders isn't as out of touch as he is. And you can even look at, like Medicare for all, you're getting rid of 150 million plus Americans' health insurance. That is a massive vulnerability for Bernie Sanders. But if you look at policies like raising the top tax rate to 70%, a majority of Americans support some of those policies. So I think Republicans, acting like somehow Bernie Sanders isn't a threat. And I know the people we listened to before aren't Republicans, but I've heard a lot of Republicans acting like somehow this is going to be an easy race against Bernie Sanders. It will not be.
Yeah, I've said for weeks now, Charlie, don't underestimate Sanders. He has the energy and he has a philosophy. Bloomberg basically just wants to continue outsourcing jobs to China and probably get rid of the tariffs and go back to kind of the pre-Trump days of Obama. No, there's no appetite for that. So I think Lisa's right to the extent that the energy and the passion is with the faux populist movement of big government left.
That's exactly right. And Bernie Sanders resonates best with people when he talks about money and politics and talks about the corrupting influence of it. Where Bernie Sanders made a fatal error is he decided to go all in on the open borders, no immigration restriction at all, radical influences of the left. He never used to be that way. He used to have common sense, America first immigration policies. Now he's about open the borders, no border restriction at all. That is where President Trump is going to be most successful in a matchup against Senator Bernie Sanders, is hitting him on cultural issues and immigration. To Lisa's point, Lisa's exactly right. It's really hard to run against free. It's really hard because he's going to promise more stuff than the other side to every single community and constituency. Students, I'll forgive your student loan debt. People that might have a little personal debt, we'll forgive that too. Doesn't matter if he can't fulfill it. He's going to promise it. I agree that Senator Sanders will be formidable and the media will become an activist network to protect him. And I'll tell you right now, the media will be far more bought in to the candidacy of Bernie Sanders than they were of Hillary Clinton.
Oh, they know they have to be at this point. Well, Joe Biden came out and he's concerned about the fact that Bernie hasn't been really vetted. Lisa, watch.
I've been the front runner for so long. I've gone through all of the vetting that could be vetted, and I'm still standing. Now they're just going to start to vet Bernie, and they're going to vet Bernie on things that he hadn't been challenged on very much before.
What of that, Lisa? The Trump people have seemed to want Bernie, and they really haven't gone after Bernie as they obviously will if he ends up being the nominee.
I don't necessarily think the vetting will matter because I think Bernie Sanders believes wholeheartedly in the policies he's pushing forward. And I do think he has that populist message where I think some of the incoming is just not going to hit him in a similar way where it doesn't tend to hit President Trump. And, I think the way you hit Bernie Sanders, President Trump laid it out very well in his Venezuela speech, or the speech he gave about Venezuela in Miami, where he said, look, socialism isn't about the average American woman. It's not about the common people. Socialism is about empowering the ruling class. That is where the power is going to go. Also, when Bloomberg went after him on owning the 3 homes, Bernie Sanders is a hypocrite. And so that's also where President Trump would be best served to attack him on as well.
Yeah. And then the fact that Charlie's pointed out, we got to go. But look, socialism has failed everywhere it's tried, and it's still failing in Europe right now. Look at France's GDP over the last year. Charlie and Lisa, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And coming up, Russia.